Melanie McQuaid and you're watching Racergirl television. Today we're going to do some cooking. I'm going to show you a great recipe from Vij's restaurant in Vancouver. Vij's is this fantastic Indian restaurant which has this amazing menu, and what's so great about that menu is that a lot of those recipes have been made available to all of us who want to try them at home. So what I'm going to make today is called cauliflower steak. Cauliflower steak is pretty simple. It's basically just cauliflower. But the cool thing about it is that it turns what is an otherwise fairly bland vegetable into an incredible side dish. And it doesn't have that many ingredients, and it's pretty easy to make. In order to make this recipe, you're going to need a nice big head of cauliflower like this. And you're going to incorporate a can of tomatoes and some coconut oil. And you'll need salt, cumin, coriander, turmeric, and potentially a cinnamon stick and some ginger. So once you have all those ingredients, what we're going to start with is, I'm actually going to use cumin seed and then toast it on the stove and then grind it in a mortar and pestle, because I think that actually makes cumin taste even better. And since it is kind of a showpiece of this dish, the spices, I'm going to do that. So I'll show you that as I go along. And yeah, super easy. You basically only need one pot, and this goes well with everything, including just throwing in a can of chickpeas or putting a piece of meat on the side or some curried sausage or something like that. So off we go. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to start with whole cumin seed. So I'm going to take about a tablespoonful, and in a big wide pot that's been heated dry to medium high, I'm going to take these seeds, about a tablespoon of these seeds, and just sprinkle them in the pot and just leave them there. So you can already smell the cumin. Basically what you want is right until they start, you don't want them smoking and burning, but you want them to be fragrant. So already I can see it starting to toast, and they're getting a bit brown. Crackle, and they're nice and toasty, and they're browning. They almost start to pop like popcorn. Then you take your mortar and pestle and you pour all these hot seeds straight in. Now the added bonus of this is that your pot is now hot, because this recipe you're going to start with a medium-high heat in the pot, and you're going to add the oil to it, and then you're going to add the tomatoes to the oil. So I start with the oil in the pot, and I add all of the tomatoes. While that's heating up, I'm going to grind my cumin seed, turning a seed into a powder. So I'm going to start adding the spices. We want a teaspoon of the turmeric and some cayenne pepper. Just make this nice and spicy. And your cinnamon stick. So mix all that in with the ginger and you could add garlic to this if you wanted. Oh, you want to add all the spices and then leave this to saute in the pan for 3 or 4 minutes until the oil's nice and hot, and all of this, I guess this is called masala, is nice and heated up. Meanwhile, you've taken your cauliflower and you've cut it into 6 wedges, so it's a nice big chunk. You could quarter, or if you have a very large cauliflower like I had, you could cut it into 6 pieces. But you want it in a nice big chunk like this. That's the whole point, is that you have a nice big piece of something to eat with a knife and a fork on your plate. So take the chunks, put them into the tomato mix carefully. You actually want to try not to break them apart. And then, without breaking them up, what you want to try and do is toss them in all this sauce so they get covered on all sides, again without breaking them. If you end up breaking the stuff, it doesn't matter, because it's going to taste delicious anyways, but it's all about the presentation, and that's why you want it in a big wedge. So this is what your cauliflowers should look like, and you want to take some of this stuff and kind of get it over top of all of that stuff. Once you spread some of this tomato stuff over top of your cauliflowers, you want to take a lid and cover it and leave it for 10 minutes. So halfway through the cooking process, you want to go into your pot and do some stirring and make sure that you turn the pieces over and make sure it's cooking through evenly. If it's not cooking at all, you might have turned it down too far and it's too cold to cook this stuff, or else it might be too hot if it's burning to the bottom. So just check your temperature partway through. And then as you go along, just keep poking these things. You want the cauliflower to be fork tender. That doesn't mean mushy. If you do blow it and it turns to mush in the pot, don't sweat it because it's still going to taste amazing. It just won't have that, steak on a plate sort of consistency that you're going for with this. So just keep checking it to make sure. And I find if you cook it so that the solid part of the cauliflower, like more the core of it, is on the bottom, then that gets cooked a bit more and you can avoid really overcooking the top of it. So that's another thing you might want to think about. But this should only take about 12 minutes. So you can run a timer on it and make sure you don't go past the tender point, but definitely checking it doesn't hurt. Okay, so I have some finished steak here. Tongs are probably a good idea to pull this guy out. So I'm going to just pull out a piece of cauliflower and going to add to that some of the delicious sauce. And there you go. Cauliflower steak. Looks pretty good. And you can eat this with a fork and a knife, and it's fabulously healthy and absolutely delicious. So, for this week's episode of Racergirl Television, thanks for watching, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. I mean, why wouldn't I give this a go, right? Awesome.